I thank the organizers and Dr. Reddy for giving me this opportunity. To start with, experts once thought that only about half of the fertility cases had a physical origin and the rest were the result of psychosomatic problems in women. In mid-80s, clinicians and the researchers began questioning the hypothesis that the psychological distress caused fertility, whereas instead they found that the psychological distress probably was a consequence of infertility. The prevalence was about 25 to 60% and caused by multiple factors like the gender, the cost, the duration of the fertility and the treatment methods and the culture. The fertility treatment starts from the medical monitoring to the hormonal remedies and an IVF for both physical and probably an emotional burden both on partners as well. This was a small interview we have conducted in our own clinic where we know that we asked the patient why did she seek a fertility treatment and how would you describe your feelings before and during your treatment and how did your spouse or your family reacted to it, and please share your experience with the staff nurse during your treatment period. So these were the answers we got from the patients. When the patient told us there was a loss of self-esteem or the pride, or they had a pride among themselves, that is, she just said, I wanted to think that I was just having a trouble getting pregnant. When I went or came to you for the first appointment, I sat in the corner away and from the other patients who were probably infertile. So in my mind, I thought I was not one among them. This was the first reaction when a patient entered the fertility clinic. Once she was diagnosed, so what do we feel? The men and women are believed to react differently to fertility. The infertile wives are said to experience a greater emotional disturbances than their husbands because during the process of female socialization, we know that pregnancy and childbirth are considered as the most important function of wife. I wish it could be the other way around as well. The females therefore take more responsibility for fertility evaluation even when they are sure that the husbands are the cause of childlessness. So the first question was, why did you seek fertility treatment? It was a woman who said that it wasn't a nice feeling at all for me. Every month when I was expecting to get pregnant, I have my periods and I have a big headache, wondering why it should come and how long should I have to undergo the pressures from my families. This was a woman who was about 5 years of fertility treatment. The other one said, I was very upset and frustrated, really. I knew it was my problem and I wanted to get help very soon. So what were the emotional reactions which happened before and during fertility treatment? The reactions of the women before they became pregnant included they were very anxious, they were depressed, the anger, the feeling and devastated, and the sense of failure and different degrees of frustrations were be seen. And probably they said what it was a struggle. So they said it was a constant struggle in the family and echoed in many respondents said that it is probably a daily struggle when you cannot conceive. And they thought it was again a loss. One woman spoke about the void created by her loss of a dream that fertility denied her of achieving a baby. I feel a void in my life because I don't have kids, and I remember as a child on a career day at school when they asked me what I would like to become, and I said I would just want to become a mom, which never happened in her life. And again another failure, some women felt that the failure to conceive or carry a pregnancy term speaks to the inadequacy. While struggling to view it as a medical issue, most of them perceived a personal fault, probably something was wrong with them. That time I just thought I felt useless. Knowing that I cannot give child to my husband made me feel so bad, and I thought that something was missing on my part. My husband was okay, and he said he will not leave me even if I cannot give him a baby. This was one response from a patient who was about 32 with 3 years of fertility. Whereas another woman said that I felt really depressed and had a sense of failure. My husband was partly the cause of a fertility failure, but he appeared to be okay, not looking stressed. It would appear that when a reproductive failure is as a result of a combined male and a female factors, the woman is also affected emotionally even when her spouse appears not bothered. And again, people thought it is a stressor, and they say that it is a continuous stressor and probably it is mentally and probably financial as well. And others shared that trying to get pregnant became very stressful for me every day. Another thing was monitoring my eating during the treatment program, drinking, the rest, monitoring the blood, the hormonal levels, the deficiencies, felt like chasing reasons and trying different remedies to address and began to impinge on my personal life as well as professional life. Another woman said, I'm 40, trying to take care of myself at the age of 40 and not to stress out really landed up stressing me every month because I did not get pregnant. So another one said, the hardest, most demanding and disheartening and most stressful, depressing experience of my life was being an infertile woman. Another one said, it's a very painful experience because they thought even when I stopped the treatment, it persists even after I discontinued it. Another woman stated that the emotional pain and the devastation appears to continue regardless whether I continue or I stopped it. And they said that it was an emotional roller coaster because it was extremely difficult and emotionally challenging. And then one person said that I would really lose my control and cry for days. What about the other emotional reactions? One said, it has brought me to tears with feelings of hopelessness. I became especially very sensitive and nervous, and I felt I was very lonely, and guilt and embarrassment and shame. Another woman said that I really do not know what is happening to me. I now even cry at very small, a dog commercial program on television. I don't know what's happening to me. The spiritual reactions, how do a woman face it? They said that it's the strongest statement from a woman who said that it strained my religious faith. I was angry at God and I don't believe and I don't go to church for years. What about the personhood? Having children defines us as a woman. When something is significantly wrong with me, you start questioning your womanhood. What's been the most challenging is the losing trust in my own body. What about the relational reactions? It was very stressful on my marriage. That was one patient who told us. And my first marriage was ended up because my husband was totally against the fertility treatment. It has changed the way I look at a lot of things and affected my relationship for good and bad. What about the spouse and the family? The patients felt that you should have a mutual support. Also support each other. From a woman's point of view, you need to realize that you are not the only one going through this. The husband should also realize, and the special someone is also going to go through it. And there's always an unspoken fear among women. Will my spouse leave me if I cannot have my own children? Should I leave my spouse so that he or she should marry a fertile person? Am I acceptable to my in-laws? Or will our relationship survive this ordeal? And there was a tremendous guilt who walks into the clinic who says this, did I fail to take care of my body properly? Or did I wait too long? Is my infertility due to my indiscretions early in my life? Did I bring this on myself, or is God punishing me? Loss of self-control. Should we really change our physicians because I see the ad saying that I get 100% results when I go to another physician? How do we know who's the best for us? Should we adopt or should we go for an artificial insemination? They develop a negative attitude. What was an ordinary procedure in the medical community like a semen analysis, the artificial insemination, or even a simple tubal assessment of HSG became an extraordinary to these most patients. And towards the others, everybody thought that they were becoming foreign to them, and they said that I find myself hating to the pregnant women when I see at schools or in the grocery store, even church. I never had such intense negative feelings towards others, and I hate myself for having them. And there's another one who said there's a loss of status or prestige because most of them thought that their worth to society is lessened by the inability to produce children. And what about the women's age? Did they have any reactions different? The women's age appears to be a factor in an emotional reaction because they were all aware of the biological clock and were in a hurry to get baby before it became too late. The other factor is that to some of the women is a fear of losing their spouses to another woman because he may be able to marry another person. The secondary infertility was another one which we have seen that women who was 36 years who came for a baby, who had a normal child did not have much stress, whereas another one who had a baby with the previous affected CP child was more stressed during the fertility treatment. What about the husband's reaction? He said, the woman said that I felt sad because when couple are married, it was just, culture does not consider the marriage was successful when you don't have a baby. And the woman said my husband was very upset and embarrassed, especially when someone accused him. During the semen analysis, which we normally face, probably we have created this. One person said, when I go to the lab to give a sperm sample and was directed to the bathroom with a sign on the road reading a sperm count in progress, I think no one considered how a public notice like that would affect the men entering and leaving that room. And it was another humiliating encounters during the treatment. This is because we wanted a person to produce a sample for an IUI. He was not comfortable, so he went to the hotel to do this procedure. At first, the men said, I could not even maintain an erection, and when I finally achieved, I could not ejaculate. We tried everything we knew, and after that, there was no success. We dressed, checked out, and went home, where we tried again, but again it was very unsuccessful. This whole charade was so humiliating and painful for me that I could not imagine attempting such thing. I think this frequently occurs in all the fertility clinic, where people ask them to produce a sample in a bathroom, and we fertility specialists tell them to have sex during the ovulatory period or to have sex following an IUI day. I think the first question, we should make sure the husbands are comfortable for these procedures. And the husband says, I'm really confused and I don't know, we can't conceive and I can't do anything about it, so I say nothing to my wife at all. At the same time, another responsible husband says that I really hate going through all these too, but I'm most upset because what is going to my wife, both physically and emotionally, I'm not able to help her. And my wife believes that I'm not upset, I'm playing a game, and we are both losing in the treatment side. What about the male reactions? The above quotations always illustrate that the amount of pressure that is sometimes endured by the infertile men, whether or not the reproductive failure was entirely their fault. When the problem is diagnosed in the wives of the partners, men do not report being in distress as the women does. But when the men learn that they are the ones who are infertile, I think they have the same feeling as women too. The family reactions, one group says that, please go and pray yourselves, whereas the other group says you can still go ahead and adopt a child. What of the patient expectation from the clinician's point of view? The women or the couple, they are really frustrated, angry, sometimes they get back to the physicians. At the same time, we physicians are helpless, we are also humans. We are only human, says doctors, and can only do so much. But I think it is our humanness that we want you to notice and respond, says the patients. What about the nurses? When a patient reaches the clinic, I think they ask for a particular nurse because she holds her hands, gives the injections very patiently, and sometimes they are much better than the staff, the doctors who explains to them. The patient says, she strokes my hair, which makes me feel very relaxed and shows that she takes care of me. And the nurses helped with the injections, and though I was feeling and frustrated, the nurse helped me by consoling me. Even during the doctor's examinations, the nurses helped me a lot because I was scared and really shy. All these above statements says that how our participants perceived the presence of the nurse as a relaxing and comforting during the treatment sessions. The degree of desperation probably depends upon the age, the duration, and the result of investigations. The younger the participants, the lesser the stress. And again, we talk about the financial burden. I think this couple was struggling to have a baby for about 5 years. Their debt was mounting and the biological clock was ticking. We don't go out. This is a statement from a couple who have been financially burdened because we need to save money. We don't shop because we need to save money for this treatment. Our lives are being held captive by this quest. We thought it would be end by one, but never happens because I never fall pregnant. But I think we have been created a financial mess and really need help. Even when you become pregnant, the cost of pregnancy, the diapers, the childcare camp, and one-day college.
Madam, excuse me, please make it fast.
Yes, sir. Over, sir.
We are short of time.
And the loss of security turned on the promotions, career changes, and taking time off the work. The employer, the job is also stressed. The financial aspect, because it's not covered by the insurance. The grief reactions followed by, I think, when it becomes an IVF fails, the women suffer a pregnancy loss. This is like a grief and loss model by Manning, which has been used. I would conclude the statement with the session saying that my infertility is definitely a blow to my self-esteem, a violation of my privacy, a final exam on my ability to cope these exams, a painful reminder, and my infertility is a break in the continuity of life. It's above all a wound to my body, to my psyche, to my soul. This is what would be a psychological reactions of a woman or a patient who enters into an infertility clinic. As an ART specialist, I would say that I wish I could give a huge, big, tight hug, as Dr. Roth said, a touch sensation, and take all your pain away. If I could take away the pain and put a smile on your face, baby, I would. Thank you so much for the patient listening.